A declaration is hereby issued that the presidential election held on 8th August 2017 was not conducted in accordance with the Constitution and the applicable law, rendering the declared results invalid, null, and void.
A Supreme Court decision that's the first of its kind in Kenya's history. Last month, President Uhuru Kenyatta won a second term with more than 50% of the vote. But now, Kenya's highest court has backed a claim by the opposition, led by Raila Odinga, that the Election Commission's IT system was hacked to manipulate the result. Odinga had filed a petition calling for a rerun of the polls.
This indeed is a very historic day for the people of Kenya, and by extension, for the people of the continent of Africa. For the first time in history of African democratization, a ruling has been made by a court nullifying irregular elections of a president. This is a precedent-setting ruling. They are very historical.
Analysts estimate the elections were one of Africa's most expensive, at a cost of more than $1 billion. The Kenyan National Treasury says it costs each of the 19.6 million registered voters more than $25. That's the highest cost per voter in the world. Its East African neighbor, Rwanda, spends only $1.05 per voter. The bulk of the money went to the country's electoral commission, where more than $400 million was spent hiring personnel as well as collecting and counting results. A rerun of the elections means political parties will have to campaign all over again and spend even more money. This comes at a time when East Africa's biggest economy is battling rising levels of inflation, its worst drought in 3 decades, and mounting government debt. Trading on the Kenyan Stock Exchange was temporarily suspended on Friday after a sharp drop in stocks. Analysts are now worried that might further scare away already worried investors. And with more than half of the country's population living on less than $2 a day, another big spend on the polls could make life a bit harder for more Kenyans. Mmalegabe Motsepe, TRT World.
Agnes Gitau is a director at consulting firm GBS East Africa. She offers investment advice to businesses and governments operating in that region, and she joins me now from London. Agnes, great to have you on Money Talks. If you are a small or medium-sized business in Kenya right now, how might this latest court decision affect your investment decisions over the next 12 months or so?
You know, on the short term, of course, it'll be painful for a lot of businesses, but you look at longer term. A lot of businesses operating across Africa look at the long-term gain. This is a confidence boost to our institutions. We've stated again and again that Africa, and particularly Kenya, is showing a strength and independence of our institution. So in the short term, certainly painful, but in the uncertain, of course, uncertain political environment means uncertain business environment. But if you look at the long term, it's certainly going to boost the confidence of both domestic and international investors. I'm
really glad you brought up that issue of institutional strength. I was actually going to ask you about that. Does that mean that a lowering of the risk profile, perhaps, in terms of foreign direct investment and even foreign portfolio investment? Are you likely to see more foreign investment on both these fronts coming forward as a result of this, do you think? Not immediately, certainly not. But, you know, Kenya is a very competitive destination in terms of foreign direct investment. Actually, one of the leading destinations for foreign investment across Africa. But immediately, no. Of course, in the next 60 days, we're going to see campaigning, which, of course, become very uncertain for businesses to plan. But in my view, in the longer term, we are seeing a new Africa that is independent, institution that can be able that are independent of the politics, which is absolutely positive. Right. What about, there are some big multinational companies also based in Kenya, companies like Google, Coca-Cola, people like that. In this period, how are they positioning themselves? I guess companies will be looking at, hoping and praying that the next 60 days, and as Kenya moves back to the campaigning mood, we'll see a lot of politics. We are hopeful that the political leaders will understand that it's very political rhetorics have an impact on business. You saw today, 30 minutes after the court decision, our market tumbled. Our currency, the Kenya shillings, declined by 0.6%. And the yield on the foreign debt, Kenya is heavily in debt, climbed by, by 21 base points. So suddenly you see politics and business are very much intertwined. So politicians, we are hopeful, and I guess a lot of our clients will be hoping that the politicians will be able to conduct this in a mature and in a way that it does not at all upset the business environment.
Agnes Gitau of GBS East Africa, thank you ever so much.